Hello everybody. In today's session we'll be discussing about the topic printed circuit boards. We simply call it as PCBs. So in the last videos we were discussing about the different types of fuses, and we have all discussed about circuit breakers, and in today's session we'll be discussing about printed circuit boards. Okay. First, we'll see what is meant by PCB. In PCB is an acronym for printed circuit board. Printed circuit board is nothing but a plate which is used for placing the different elements that conform an electrical circuit that consists of electrical interconnection between them. It is a board that has lines and pads that connects various points together. So you might have seen many PCBs, but you may not have known what is that particular piece of equipment is called as. If simply on the screen you can see a mouse. When you open your mouse, you see a thin layer on which all the components are placed. That thin layer or thin structure on which all the components are placed is nothing but a PCB. Okay, or in other example, you can take a TV remote. If you open your TV remote, you can beneath the buttons of the remote controller, you can observe a similar kind of plate, like which is in green color and brown color, which has some lines, and on the lines you can see some components placed on it. Okay, that circuit which is in which all the components are placed, or that plate on which all the components are placed is nothing but PCB. PCB is called as printed circuit board. So PCB consists of several tracks, lines and paths to electrically connect different electronic components. So components means you can see various resistors, capacitors, transistors, etc. So which are designed for that particular application. So PCB consists of a substrate on which copper material is laminated to create a conducting path between the different components. Okay, the required components are connected electrically with the PCB board using two different technologies in generally we use. So one is called as hole technology and the other one is called as surface mount technology. Okay, so we place the components on the PCB either by using a hole technology or surface mount technology. So before going into the details, why PCB is being used? Why can't we connect all the components with the help of wires or some wires and other equipment? So what is the need of PCB? We'll try to know. Before printed circuit boards became the common component used in electronics, point-to-point construction was used. So as you can see on the screen, a small circuit is connected with n number of wires. So the connections between the wires and is difficult to trace out, because that many number of wires are connected between the components, and once a single wire is either if it is removed or if it is being loosened or if it is disconnected from that particular point, it will become very tedious to find out the error, and that is why we call this kind of designing as unreliable designs, and these require very large sockets, and it will always require a regular replacement. That is, once if in the process of connecting the wires or in the process of observing the output, if any of the wire gets slightly moved, or any of the component is getting moved from one position, or if in the process of designing, if we only touch the components or touch the wires, the complete circuitry which we have designed may go wrong, or all the pain that we take in constructing the circuit will be waste. That is, most of the issues were directly addressed when PCB was entered into the direct position production. That is, all these problems like unreliable design, bulky construction, and undesirable um, working conditions, and the requirement of a large space, and frequent replacement, and troubleshooting issues have been overcome in any electronic circuit with the help of PCBs. So, and also with the PCBs, we are able to produce rugged construction and inexpensive circuitry board can be designed. Okay, and that too with high reliability. Circuit board can be designed using a PCB. And the most advantageous points regarding PCBs is that it is able to produce mass manufacturing. That is, in case of wired connections, which is the previous one of PCBs, previous versions of PCBs, mass manufacturing is not at all possible. That is, for each and every electronic circuit that we design, we have to sit and connect all the components, and every wiring should be done individually. In case of PCBs, that problem has been addressed and it has been overcome. Like, once a design has been developed, that design will be printed on n number of boards that you require. So once if you want to produce some hundreds or thousands of components or devices, what you do is you design a particular circuit for the your device, and that will be printed on a PCB, and that will be printed on the n number of PCBs that you require. So not like that of the previous technology, that is wired technology, where if you want to develop some hundred or thousand devices, thousand times you have to repeat the same procedure. The same wiring has been done for thousand devices, and same connections and same troubleshooting errors have to be faced for all the thousand components. Whereas for the PCBs, as once the design has been developed, it can be implanted or it can be printed on n number of components, and so the mass production is very simple for PCBs, and it also makes the work very professional with the help of PCB. And you can observe the previous diagram and this diagram. When you see the previous diagram, though it is having many components, the wiring capacity has been very much reduced in this circuitry, where we see only two wires internally. Whereas when you see here in this diagram, you see n number of wires. So here the time and space in the construction and development of the electronic circuits has been reduced because of the PCBs, right? So you might have got to with now you might have got to know how advantageous and how helpful these PCBs are these days. Otherwise, the circuits which we are designing would be very tedious, and each and every circuit we develop will take uh, much time when compared with that of PCB. If there is no PCB, the development process and the technology and all technology advancement would be uh, very tough. Okay, so who led to the invention of PCB? We'll see. Coming to the history of PCB, the first printed circuit board can be traced in some early 1900 and a patent for printed wire. In 1925, Charles Ducas was the first one who submitted a patent that involved creating an electrical path directly onto the insulated surface. This was a revolutionary idea, and it could eliminate the complex wiring and provide consistent results. Still, they did not relay completely until the World War II, when Dr. Paul Elster in Austria began making the first real operational printed circuit boards in 1943. So, from 1900s, the introduction of this idea and development of PCBs has been started, and the actual operational PCBs were used in World War II, and that too because of the struggles done by by the scientist Dr. Paul. Operational printed circuit board was introduced in 1943. So since then, instead of using wiring circuits, we have been using PCBs. And coming to the classification of PCBs, so PCBs can be of many types based upon the, and classification can also be of different types according to different attributes. So one of the most common attributes how we classify uh, PCBs is nothing but based on the electrical conducting path that interact between the components that are to be mounted. Okay, so in general there are two basic ways for these conductors. So what I'm trying to say is that any PCB will be classified based on the uh, um, uh, conducting path, electrical conducting path uh, they 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 provide on the PCB. And there are again two basic ways to form these conductors. The first one is subtractive type and the other one is additive type. In subtractive type process, the unwanted portion of the copper foil on the base substrate each is etched away. Etching means nothing but it is a process of removing the unwanted PCB material is known as etching. So in subtractive process, what we do is the unwanted portion of copper foil which is coated on the plastic base substrate, which we call it as PCB, uh, is removed away, and we just leave the desired conductor pattern in the place. Okay, so on the PCB what we do is that we just uh, 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 keep the conducting path which are useful for the designing of the circuit, and the remaining other copper layer or copper wiring which is unwanted for that particular circuit is removed. Okay, that kind of conducting path is known as a subtractive type. And second type is additive type. In the additive type process, the formation of the conducting pattern is accompanied by adding copper to a bare substrate in the pattern and places desired. This can be done by plating copper and screening conductive paste or laying down an insulating wire onto the substrate onto the predetermined conducting path. Okay, So this is additive type. So complete PCB substrate will be coated onto the with the help of copper, and on the copper, and wherever you need a placement of component, again the plating of and screening of the conductive paste and laying down the insulating wire on the substrate will be again done. And this kind of process, this kind of laying conductive path is nothing but additive type of additive type of PCBs. Okay, so this is the basic classification, and an elaborate classification we'll see. So here you can see the different types of PCB classification. In the first row, the first one is PCB based on the base material what we use. That is, initially we take some base, which is a kind of insulating material. On that base material we'll be applying the conducting parts and all. Okay, based on the base material what we use, PCBs can be of two types: organic base and inorganic base. And based on the uh, graphite or discrete wiring connection, this can be of two types. So in organic base we have two classification, that is graphite and discrete wiring condition. Whereas in inorganic base we have a single one, that is graphite. And again, based on the flexibility or the rigidity condition, either if the PCB can be foldable or not foldable or fixed kind of thing, the graphite kind of PCBs can be of three types. First one is rigid. So we'll discuss what is meant by rigid in this video later. Next one is flex, and the third one is rigid flex. So based on the flexibility of the PCBs what we are designing, the PCBs are of three types: rigid, flex and rigid flex. The same thing we see in the discrete wire: rigid, flex and rigid flex. Whereas in inorganic base we find only rigid type of construction. And next one is what we have discussed just now, based upon subtractive or additive. That is, if you use only the layers of conductor which are useful for that particular circuit, that is called as subtractive. Whereas additive means onto the copper layer again we will be adding the copper lines on which components have to be placed, that is additive. So based on the additive and subtractive concept, again these are classified into subtractive. Rigid is of two types: subtractive type and additive type. Whereas flex type and rigid flex type, we have only one type, that is subtractive type only. Additive is not possible in flex and rigid type. Next is, even in the inorganic base we see subtractive and rigid type of PCBs available. And next is based on the structure, like how many layers or how many sides we coat the conducting layer. Based on that we have SSB, DSB, MLB. We'll discuss all these in this video. Just see what is SSB, DSB, LSB. In the additive also DSB, MLB, SSB, DSB. These are the classification based on the structure. And next is based on PTH or non-PTH. PTH and non-PTH. These are again classified like this, and depending upon the process, what kind of process we use for the development of the PCB, we use either print and etch type, pattern, mm, printing, etc. These kind of this is a classification what we give for the different types of PCBs that are available. So once you go through the slide, you'll get to understand what are the different types of PCB. So altogether we can simply classify PCBs into these many types, that is either single sided PCB, double sided PCB, multi-layer PCB, rigid flex PCB, flexi PCB, high frequency and low frequency PCB. So in this video I'll try to show the different types of PCBs, and as well as I'll explain some basic points regarding each kind of PCB. Okay, so most of the PCBs, like either single sided PCB or double sided PCB, are the basic types of PCBs you might have gone through, like either in the remote controller or in the mouse or any other basic electronic circuits which we have in our homes. These are generally made up of either single sided PCB or double sided PCB. Though these points I guess. Other points we'll discuss what is multi-layer, rigid flex, and we'll discuss in this video. The first kind of PCB is nothing but single sided PCB. So on the screen you can see a single sided PCB. So single sided PCB means nothing but it contains only one layer of base material. So one side of the base material is laminated with metal that is used to build an electrical connection between the components soldered onto the board. Okay, so the point to be noted regarding single sided PCB is only on one side the base material is laminated with metal, which is used to build the electrical connection between the components soldered onto the board. In general, copper material is commonly used for creating the conducting path because it acts as a good conductor and it comes with low resistance. Okay, because of the low resistance and it has good conductivity, generally copper is used as conducting path for a single line PCB. Okay, so when you see these two diagrams, so this is the diagram on which this is a PCB on which components are placed. So where these components are placed you can easily identify. So there are some lines over here. So on the lines, these lines are nothing but conductive wires or traces. So on the conductive wires which we place, on the conducting wires we place the components. So these conducting wires provide the path for the conductivity of current. So the same you can see it here. Before the placement of components, a single sided PCB looks like this. So here we see a green color plate, insulating plate, that is we generally call it as substrate, that is base metal. The base material is called as substrate, which we see it in green color. So on the substrate we trace some paths. You can see that paths with the help of a conducting material. Commonly used material is copper. So only where we are connecting the components, that layers will be traced with the help of any metal. Commonly used metal is copper. So single sided PCB will look like this before the placement of components. Okay, so the point to be remembered regarding single sided PCB is only one side of the base material is laminated with metal. Okay, so that is only on one side you can place the components, the other side will be left idle. For single sided PCB the components are on one side, or the conducting wires are shown in the in the slide you have seen previously. Single sided PCBs are the most common type uh, and the most simple and the most basic version of PCB is single sided PCBs. So when talking about single sided PCB, these are the ideal choice for beginners and are most commonly used in simple electronics which do not involve any complex circuitry. So they are easy to manufacture, in which circuits and components are soldered on one side of the surface. So coming to the cost, these are very cheap and are easily and their easy availability make these PCB an ideal choice for mass production. So previously I was telling you that PCBs are generally have an advantage of mass production. So single sided PCB, because of the simplicity in the design, these are the ideal choice for mass production. So these are low cost modules and are widely used in many applications like stereo components, calculators, cameras, power supplies, printers and all. So all the simple and basic low cost applications will generally incorporate single sided PCBs. So with the appearance of electronic transistors, single sided PCBs were developed in some 1950s. These were first mainly manufactured in USA. In 1956, single sided PCB technology was made in big progress with the appearance of professional PCB manufacturer from Japan. Okay, so this is all about single sided PCB, that is on which only one side of the PCB is used for placement of component, and this is the most simple and easily available kind of PCB, that is single sided PCB. The second one is double sided PCB. So the double sided PCBs are similar to single sided PCB with only one exception, that is they contain the conducting material, that is copper material on both the sides of the substrate material, that is on the base metal, on the base material, that is some insulating material which is in green color. You can see the conducting parts on both the sides. If you see this diagram, this is nothing but the green layer is the substrate. This side is top side, this side is bottom side. So on the top side you see the conducting parts, and on the bottom side also you see conducting parts. Okay, this kind of construction we call it as double sided PCB. The circuits are on one side of board are connected to the other side of the board by either by means of holes drilled on the board. So you can see some holes on the board which is displayed on the screen. So with the help of the holes that are drilled on the conducting parts, you can make connections between the components placed on the top and the bottom. So the components on these PCBs are connected using two different technologies. That is previously I was telling you. So components can be placed either using hole technology or surface mounted technologies. Okay. So this coming to this double sided PCBs, this kind of PCBs have moderate level of complexities. Okay, when compared to single sided PCB and double sided PCB, double sided PCB level of complexity is a bit more when compared with single sided PCBs. So some points regarding double sided PCB is that for double sided board we can components can be on both sides, top and bottom, so conducting wires can be on both sides. Double sided board means conductor pattern appear on both sides of the board. However, if you use the conducting pattern on the both sides, there should be a proper circuit to connect two sides. The bridge between the two sides is called as wire. Okay, So there should be proper connectivity between the top side components and the bottom side components, and the connectivity between, or the bridge between, the top side and the bottom side circuits is called as via. Those vias are plated with metal such as either tin, copper, gold, etc. Because the area of the double-sided PCB is twofold of the area of single-sided, the conductor pattern can come across with each other. So it suits to be used on more complex circuits. Okay, so complex circuits means like automotive dashboards, like car dashboards, flight dashboards, etc. And also in lightning, vending machines, amplifiers, high voltage AC system, instrumentation type of circuits where there is involving a bit complex circuitry. Though in those places we can use double-sided PCBs. Double-sided PCBs are a common tool in both production and prototype circuits. They allow a higher density in components and make laying of the track easier process. So these kind of PCBs, though they look a bit smaller in size, they can carry double the size, double the number of components that we place on the single sided PCB. That is, a double sided PCB can carry double the components that a single side PCB can hold. Likewise, the complexity will be double. Same as a regular circuit board, double-sided boards are made with a substrate of non-conductive material over which the layer of copper is placed on the top of it. So this is same as single-sided, and in the case of double-sided board, copper is also layered on the bottom side of the substrate. Okay, as with any type of circuit board, there are advantages to use the use of one type of other. So double-sided boards, as I have said earlier, they allow a higher density of components. This is because we have a whole extra layer where you can add tracks to connect the components, freeing the space on the other to place the components closer together, and an extra connection for IC with high pin counts. Okay, so double the number of components can be placed is a major advantage for double-sided PCB. And another advantage of double-sided PCB is that increased heat dissipation that an extra layer of copper provides. This can be achieved by etching process, only removing enough copper to create the track, and the extra copper instead of removing it completely. So another major advantage of double-sided PCB is that heat dissipation will be increased. So heat dissipation as it is getting increased, can the PCB, double-sided PCB can function properly as the heat is getting dissipated properly, and the components placed on it will function without any thermal runaway situations. So coming to when to use double-sided PCBs. So the decision to use double-sided need to be considered very carefully because of the added complexity in the production, and as well as handling of the finished board, as well as cost constraints, can using a double-sided PCB a suboptimal choice to use in the electronic circuit project. So biggest consideration in manufacturing cost, because most manufacturer will charge extra setup fee for processing the extra side, not only on etching and soldering mask, but also on component layouts added in the silk screen process. Okay, so another added expensive that could derive from the design process itself. Since several additional design considerations must be taken into account to ensure proper functioning of the finished product, such as inductive losses, parasitic capacitive effects, and the performance of analog and high speed digital circuit. So all these things, consideration using a double sided PCB is the right choice. Then the advantages will really help you finished circuit stand out and be very functional. Okay, so when you keep all these points in mind, like when you see the complexity constraints, handling constraints, cost constraints and all, taking all these points in mind, so if you still consider to use double sided PCB, then double sided PCB will give you its best performance. But the thing is that when you choose a double sided PCB, cost will be more, and the handling of the PCB will be somewhat difficult when compared with the single sided PCB. So even though if you choose for double sided PCB, it will give its major advantages. Okay, next is multi-layer PCBs. So coming to the multi-layer PCB, in order to increase the area of conductivity pattern, so within the small size or within the given size prescribed size, if you want to increase the number of components that are to be incorporated onto the PCB, then multi-layer PCB is a best choice. That is, within a small size you can incorporate more number of components. That can be done with the help of multi-layer PCB. So multi-layer PCB uses more single or double boards. It uses several pieces of double-sided boards, and a dielectric layer is put between every layer of the board. The layer of one PCB represents the layer of the conducting pattern. The amount of layers is always be even number. Technically, we can make PCBs up to 100 layers. So multi-layer PCBs are nothing but n number of double-sided PCBs connected together in a proper fashion. We can make multi-layer PCBs. So via means nothing but conducting path between bottom layer and the top layer is called as via. For via, if we use it on double-sided PCB, the whole board will be drilled. While on multi-layer PCB, if you just want to connect some traces, via will trace some space of some layers. Then we use buried vias and blind vias to solve this problem, because there are only drilled through several layers. So here an additional point to be noted, that is blind vias and buried vias. So you will see what is meant by blind and buried vias. Buried vias are nothing but that are used to connect inner PCBs, so we can't see them from the surface. Those are nothing but buried vias. Whereas blind vias are nothing but these connect several layers of PCBs with the surface PCBs. So these we can see. So the vias which we connect several layers of PCBs with the surface PCB, those vias are called as blind vias. Whereas the vias which connect only the inner PCBs and which we cannot see are called as buried vias. In a multi-layer PCBs, the whole board directly connects the ground using the power line. So we divide the layers into several layers, like one layer will be used for signal, the other layer for power, and other for ground. If the component of the PCB need different power lines, this kind of PCB have more than 2 layers of power and wire lines. So if you choose to have separate layers for power, separate layers for signal and separate layers for grounding, then multi-layer PCB can be used. Okay. Next is rigid flex PCBs. So rigid flex PCBs, the basic concept of this is in rigid flex PCBs, if you want to incorporate a PCB into an already built up device, then we can go for rigid flex PCBs. Whereas if you design a PCB and that PCB, and according to the dimensions of the PCBs, if you design a if you design a device, then a single sided PCB, double sided or multi-layer PCB can be used. But the problem here is that if the device is already designed and we want to incorporate a PCB which suits within the device, then we have to go for a kind of PCBs. Those are nothing but rigid flex PCB. As you can see in this diagram, these are foldable kind of PCBs. That is, the PCBs can be adjusted according to the size of the devices. So those kind of PCBs are nothing but rigid flex PCBs. So rigid flex circuits give ability to design your circuitry to fit the device instead of building a device to fit the circuit board. Okay, generally these are designed for either aerospace, medical or military applications with dependable reliabilities. Okay, so these flex assemblies have the ability to be folded or seized and positioned to the smallest areas that makes miniatured sized devices possible, and with offering a substantial weight reduction. So the point about rigid flex PCB is that these kind of PCBs provide the miniature sized devices as well as foldable kind of devices can be made with the help of rigid flex PCBs. And these kind of PCBs are mainly incorporated in equipment like medical equipment, aerospace equipment, and mainly these are used in military applications. Rigid flex PCBs are used. Even the flexible type of PCBs are one and the same, where flex and rigid flex circuits gives an ability to design your circuit to fit the device instead of building up a device to fit the circuit board. So these, when compared with single, double and multi-layer PCBs, these are the contrast version type of PCBs, where you can incorporate this PCB onto a already designed device. So the flex circuits offer more advantages for anyone considering to use this technology into the future products, or if you are trying to decide on re-engineering your current design. So these kind of PCBs are useful. So flexible circuit boards will fit where no other solutions can fit. Okay. So these are the points which I wanted to discuss in today's session. So like we have been discussing what is meant by PCB and why PCB is being used instead of the normal wiring thing, and what is the history of PCB has been discussed now, and as well as we have discussed a basic classification of PCBs in this video. And in the next coming videos, how a PCB will be manufactured and what are the steps involved in the manufacturing of the PCBs, like right from the selection of the substrate to the finishing stage of the PCB will be discussed in the next coming videos. Okay, thank you.